Hello, everybody. Oh, God. Discord is all kinds of screwy. We're going to have to fix that later.
My titties. No, that's
We're going to have to fix that one later. I should have checked that before, but we were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! So
I just had it all hanging out.
Had to, I didn't check the Discord sizing because we were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And tomatoes. Let's try that again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Steakdorra the Explorers.
We were talking about Yu-Gi-Oh!
I mean, is that inaccurate?
No, I mean that's perfectly accurate. It's just like it's a good intro. I'm sorry we fucked that up. We were too busy talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And tomatoes.
We're gonna leave that in now. This is week 13. Technically, it's the week before week 13, as it were. So it is the penultimate recap. The last one will be next week, and we can see how the div laid out. We'll be watching our final game of the season, and we can see, since the spreadsheet stream from Herringzord is on Sunday, we'll be able to see who the first round matchups are for all of our playoff qualifiers in REL 1 and 2A. So we'll be taking a look at that briefly too. But obviously, and we'll wrap up our prediction competition, because obviously we can't predict more when there are no more matches. But for this week, there is one match that a lot of people in REL 1 were pretty excited about in terms of standings. Namely, so we're going to watch B-Dog versus Larkstar. The big deal here is basically B-Dog winning keeps a lot of pressure on the top 4 competitors in REL 1, given that they play each other. So 1 plays 3 and 2 plays 4 or something like that next week in week 13, as of the standings right now. So B-Dog winning this would make that certainly pretty awkward for those coaches, given that by definition they either have to tie or one of them has to lose. So B-Dog winning this keeps him in that contentious top 5 spot, and means that it's possible for other people that are in playoffs to drop out. So him winning this means playoff spots were not confirmed, is basically the reason why he wants to win this, and it keeps him in the top. Larkstar, I don't think can make it at this point, but this is very important for B-Dog to win. Yes, as of the end of this week, Luminous, which for following stream recap time land hasn't happened yet because we're like sort of a week behind. But yes, that's true. After this week is over, based on the other results that happened, Fed and Luminous locked playoff spots. They can switch around, if I believe, but they can't fall out of the top 5 anymore. And excitingly, in Div 2A, 0 playoff spots are locked. There's 1 week to go, and not a single playoff spot is locked, which is surprising. And a playoff spot wasn't locked until this week in REL 1, which shows you how close the top 2 divs were this season, which is pretty exciting. It's been a wild ride, certainly these last 2 weeks, and next week is going to be real exciting in both divs as well, given the whole top 5 in REL 1 can shuffle around a lot. With only 2 people being able to stay in it. So the fight for the bye week is certainly on. And there's no spots locked in 2A. That's kind of nuts. So this one is a pretty important one. There's other important ones, but they were streamed elsewhere. So I figured we'd grab this one and take a look at it.
That's fair. Mongoose is one of those coaches that I feel every time I'm looking at his games, he's losing. And then somehow he's in like 3rd. I don't know when he wins his games, but it's never when I'm observing him. He's
like Schrodinger's Blood Bowl coach, like when you observe the results, they collapse.
I think you got
it. Yeah, it's he's certainly good. It's hard to deny that, given that he's done so well in the past. But he is kind of inconsistent in some ways. He sometimes wins games that you don't expect, and he sometimes loses games that you don't expect, and it's kind of weird. Man, I turned off this AC, but I'm giving up already. I'm sorry, everybody. It's hot, and I don't like it, so you're gonna hear buzzy sounds.
Ben can't deal with.
I really can't. I hate it.
Not at all.
I could just put it on dehumidify, and that might help a lot without being as loud. So maybe we'll try that. Okay. So do we want to get into this?
Yes.
Okay. Bam. In game. We've got B-Dog and we've got Larkstar, and we're just good to go if you are.
You explained why we're watching. Yes, you did. Okay, good.
It's important for B-Dog to win this. It is not really that important for Larkstar to win this, is the long and short of it. And for you didn't predict anything because you forgot to predict.
I did, yeah. I really whiffed. I'm not surprised, given who I am as a person, that I didn't predict, but...
I did it really quick, like the day after, like in the morning at work without really thinking about it. So my predictions weren't particularly good, but I did predict something. And apparently I predicted Larkstar for this one, and I don't remember why, but that's what you get when you predict before coffee after a recap. So let's get this underway. 3, 2, 1, go. I don't think there's any real inducements for either side. The annoying thing for B-Dog here is that he has 0 bench, and he's up against Norse, which is not really a place you want to be with 0 bench, considering that Norse are good at punching stuff.
Norse are pretty
Although,
good at
there's
stuff.
a lot of block on the humans here, given that they have some levels, and they have a lot of sort of agi options as well.
Yeah, the problem is going to be that, like, while the humans might win a drive, with the Norse bench, it's very unlikely. It's very unlikely that you win the game overall. Yeah. Like, the attrition.
This is the type of game that I'd expect the humans to be able to score on their drive when they want to, but that doesn't mean they win. That means they probably lose 2-1 if the Norse just beat them to death. Right, it's like the undead sort of game, right? Yeah, or the like Nurgle or whatever. I'm not going to stop you from scoring, but if I can make you score early enough, I can probably win. Kick.
Kick is a
skill. So it's perfect D, except it's not. It's just a thing that happens.
Wow.
Something kickoff events, new kickoff events. I don't care. There's been so much speculation in like the Discord and stuff lately about like the Blood Bowl 2020 or whatever, and I've ignored 90% of it because I don't care.
Yeah, that's fair.
Until it is confirmed until there are confirmed new rules for a new game that REBBL is going to participate in, it is completely and 100% irrelevant to me.
This is a huge perfect D, in case that wasn't obvious. Being able to like nullify the human's opportunity for damage and also put them in a position where they're immediately on the back foot can totally swing this to being Larkstar's drive. I don't think perfect D is underrated in the sense that like
I would like to point out that Disturbing Presence is what done that. He didn't catch that because of him putting the Yeti there.
You're right, yeah, totally. I think people are often like, Disturbing Presence is a big deal, but I find that I think it's even more of a big deal than it's given. Like, it's so often like totally flips momentum. Momentum,
Norse are certainly a team that can take advantage of momentum or like tempo shifts, if you want to describe it in like card game terms.
Yeah.
And this is a bit awkward for the humans too, because they had kind of set up to like run down that right side, you can see, and the Norse have committed really hard to that. However, humans are speedy and they're going to go just the other way real quickly. This is exactly what we were sort of talking about. Like, the humans are going to score here. The Norse are not going to stop the humans from scoring here. Like, that's just
without an extraordinary amount of effort.
The humans are just going to screen off a little bit. They're going to score. They're not going to. This Norse can't stop that. The question is, how long are the humans willing to stall while getting beaten to death? And if they score too early, the Norse then have enough turns to 2-1 grind it, right? So he can swap real easily and does that. But we'll see if Larkstar can put enough pressure on that to force the score earlier than B-Dog wants, which is theoretically late.
Yeah, he plays very agile.
He's got the players for it.
Yep, totally. So Larkstar immediately in a position where he needs to kind of cover off. There's also a lot of fend on these humans. I guess only 2.
That's a lot for non-Bretonians.
Kind of surprised we didn't see a blitz on the ogre here. I would have considered it with the claw.
Oh, yeah, maybe. It's just guard that's gone, and that's pretty important. He's also... the other thing is, B-Dog has 0 bench, so you probably would just consider whatever you're most likely to get a removal on, and that would be like that niggled lineman he's going after. Like, so every injury is a permanent player down for the rest of the game.
Well, speaking of which, Blackstar did commit to a fend piece over in the corner, but
yeah, Juggernaut
paid off. Does Juggernaut cancel fend?
It's too much everything.
Oh, I forgot about that part.
as long as it's the blitz part of it, right? As long as they're blitzing, you can.
Yes, I mean Juggernaut only.
Except, well, you can. Oh yeah.
No, does nothing outside of a blitz. A lot of people think it does something outside
It's
of a blitz.
the wording about the wrestle part always confuses me. But so this doesn't put any pressure on the humans.
Oh, it used to apparently. Oh, I see. The cyanide.
So the humans, like the Norse put. Where was I? I lost my train of thought. Emily started talking.
Yeah.
She is playing D&D, so there's going to be some background noise, and I'm going to try to ignore it. The humans the Norse didn't put any pressure on the humans here, really, so it's going to be, given that he went for the removal and got it, which is a thing, but it means that half of his team is totally irrelevant right now, and the humans can very easily stall for another turn. I guess is what I was trying to get at, and they then did. The other thing is, it's only really that valuable if the humans can stall till 2 turns, maybe 3 turns. Like a 2 or 3 turn is certainly very possible for Norse, but it's a lot harder than like 4 or 5, which is what you're likely to give him if you score pretty early.
Yeah, so this is a good amount of pressure. It's going to make the humans think a little bit, at least, about
I don't think
earlier.
they do here, though.
No, I don't think they do either, but Larkstar is not trying to get them to score this turn. He's trying to make sure they don't still do this for another 12
Yeah, exactly.
turns, right? Or not 12.
Well, and Larkstar's probably also in the I'm going to force you to score because I'm killing everyone, not I'm going to force you to score because I have pressure on the ball, right? He's just marked up a ton of players, and he's trying to line up a whole bunch of blocks so that he tries to make, B-Dog scared that he's going to lose too many players to be able to do anything next half. And hello, Incesticide.
Yeah,
Or Incesticide's phone.
the skill I have the best.
I like that you have separate
Yeah,
Twitch
most
accounts
people
for your
just
phone.
use the same one, but there you go.
Rest in peace.
You're different. Not good, but different.
Well, we failed. Dodged into an injury. So there's another player just gone, and that's a thrower, which is a pretty big deal. That
Yeah, this is kind of what I was talking about. Even if the humans have a decent half, which they're not, for the record, but they're going to score, certainly. Even if they get there, it means very little in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, okay. So it's just trying to keep everything off your phone.
Oh god.
I do the same.
Makes sense.
I do it with my work phone. My work phone has nothing of my own on it, but my personal phone.
I've got a friend who's in the runs a rad coding co-op thing and travels for work sometimes and is very security conscious and has a travel version of everything, and he's definitely the most intense person about this sort of thing that I've ever met. But
My phone is arguably better secured than my computer is, but my work phone is not controlled by me. It's controlled by work, so it has literally nothing on it other than what is mandated by work.
I just don't have a work phone.
Anyway, that's totally irrelevant to what we're talking about. Here comes the foul, and we get a send-off, so that's one removal that the humans have managed to get on the Norse so far, down to 3 bench for the Norse. Oh man,
Yikes.
this is the thing though, right? He B-Dog could stall till turn 7, turn 8 without too much difficulty. He just might lose half his team in the process, and that is screaming for a tie in my mind, right? Because then sure, the Norse probably don't 1 turn, but then they have 8 turns and you have 4 players, so they're going to score. Can we get any blocks as the North? No, we're just leaving all the humans on the floor, so we're
No.
probably just going to continue fouling, given that we have a massive bench.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. There's no world in which you don't try to foul.
Here comes the
down
Yeti
players
Blitz,
here.
though.
Yeah, on the ogre, which makes a lot of sense.
No result, though.
That's frenzy.
Yes. Larkstar doesn't necessarily play like Orabi, but he can and sometimes does. And well, I think it makes sense here. Like, he's not going to be able to really slam play, like,
Somehow.
if he slams players into the little sort of sideline cage, yeah, sure, B-Dog probably scores, but then he sells most of his team. I think he'd rather try to force B-Dog to score through casualties more than anything else. And, Larkstar is good. Like, he's, he made it to REL 1. It's not like he doesn't play the game. He can't win anymore for this season, so he's probably playing a little bit differently than you normally would. And there's the touchdown from B-Dog.
So giving the Norse a ton of time to counterscore. Pretty ideal half for Larkstar, really.
Yeah, that worked out. You got a lot of removals, and now we have enough time to rescore.
I do feel like he did a bit of, I'm in REL 1 now, I'm screwed, so I'm just going to beat the hell out of everyone. I think there was a bit of that.
Yeah, and I think he was, certainly a little annoyed about how his first couple of weeks went, and then just sort of said, screw it, I'm going to kill everybody. I don't know. On the one hand, there's the argument they made Div 1. They're probably at least reasonably good at this game. And then my counter argument to that would be I made Div 1. I also stayed in Div 1. I almost made playoffs out of Div 1. So, just being in Div 1 probably isn't a reasonable argument for being good at the game.
No.
Well, Eddie gave it to Gideon this afternoon. Yeah.
I might be. The rule will never know. I mean, to be fair, I think I can be good in certain situations. I'm just really derpy a lot of the time and do stupid things because I'm like talking or not paying attention or whatever. I'm sure if I put a lot of effort into it, I would probably be able to be pretty good, but I don't care enough to put effort into it. How does that sound?
I think the biggest problem, like I've watched so many of your games, I think your biggest problem is that you latch onto
I
ideas
absolutely do.
sometimes and you do not adjust. And like, it's always like your first idea and you think tactically within that sphere. You're like, this is what I need to do. This is the only thing I can do. And I'm going to find the best way to do it. You generally do a good job within that. But like, I've watched you like overcomplicate the hell out of something that you could just like screened off and you would have been totally fine. Like it was
I've
the easiest screen in the
absolutely
world.
like dodged out to do something and then forgotten to blitz, so I could have just blitzed my way out like several times. And
Exactly.
I can think of a lot of cases where I've done that exact thing, but then eventually figured out the right way to do it and then done it the right way. And more often than not, that happens in clan rather than rebel because I care a bit more about clan results because other people care about my clan results.
Yeah, I mean, it's just he doesn't care. Like he's perfectly happy to just have fun.
Well, we B-Dog is down 3, 1 stunned. So there's a chance that KO to come back, but he's missing one of his good blitzers. Well, he's not a blitzer; he's a lineman, but he's basically a blitzer with guard, block, tackle, and he's missing the thrower, which is his easiest way of sort of getting a two turn.
Hmm? Oh, he
tried
was
to blitz
blitzing with
the
the
Yeti.
Yeti.
And did not
What?
succeed. I don't know. My guess is the strength 4 wrestle lineman, given that.
But yes.
I think that's what the other lineman was for.
Oh, but that piece for
Right, he
yeah,
would-
okay. Of course.
Yeah.
He's pushing him back. Yeah, I got it. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I pick things up and then I put them back down.
Well, for example.
So that that ogre and those players are not safe because jump up is a skill, and I don't
I
think
love the run up.
he is
The
fouled.
big run up.
No, it was a big run up.
In my
Fouling
my Rebel game
catcher.
this week, I got a bribe my clan game. I got a bribe on the kickoff, and I fouled literally every turn, and the ref didn't notice until about turn 7, in which I double GFI'd a zombie halfway across the pitch to foul an elf, and then the ref finally noticed and sent him off. And was like, oh. Like, it's easy to notice the zombie, like, sprinting across the field to kick an elf in the face, I guess. The rest of them have been pretty subtle.
Yeah.
Man, there's just a cluster in the middle here. I mean, we can't, like, do a bunch of... I mean, I guess you probably don't stand firm here, but we can do a lot of weird stuff. Yeah, because this happens. That's why we don't stand firm.
Yeah, that is why we do this.
Well, on the one hand, you know, your player disadvantage is being countered a little bit, given that there are 3 players stuck on your ogre. On the other hand, the Yeti is stuck on your ogre and is going to kill your ogre. And we have, like, some threats here, like the blitzers are capable of probably doing some sacking. And then we have the crazy fast runner, who is very capable of getting a hold of the ball and just leaving. So if I think Larkstar needs to be a bit careful here. Getting so many players stuck is going to be a little awkward for him, given that he can't rotate to the right very easily now.
Yeah, B-Dog has playoff
does,
chances,
yes.
for sure.
If he wins this. Well, even if he doesn't win this, but it's much harder if he doesn't win this. Right, so now, like, the Norse, he's going to have to dodge to get another scoring threat over here. He's not going to have an easy time punching through this big screen, and if he just tries to rotate around, he's going to have a hard time getting close enough that doesn't stop the humans from just sacking him. So this is... I think he committed a bit too hard to the killing in the center, if he wanted to get this 2-turn.
I wouldn't be able to hear it anyway, don't worry.
Yeti block. This one is not a frenzy trap, but we don't get a result out of it.
Larkstar did it. So the humans putting up a good defense here. It's going to be tough for the Norse to come through. They can potentially blitz this wrestle catcher down and then kind of create a hole and then try to kind of reconsolidate here in the middle a little bit more, but...
I don't know if humans have never qualified. No, the humans have definitely qualified. I don't think they've qualified from Div 1 before, is probably the statement there. Because didn't, like, Rich's T's humans make the playoffs some time ago when they were, like, a crazy stat freaks? I was going to say, like, I'm surprised he didn't... Yeah, he blitzed the guy over here, so he couldn't blitz the wrestle piece. I'm surprised he didn't just block that lineman with, like, the sure hands runner, and then just move the blitzer up, or the berserker up as another scoring threat / screen piece, because there's, like, we just have a 2-die on the ball right now, right? Like, without anything in the way, and that's the only scoring threat, so it's not exactly difficult to stop this score here. I think there's a better way to do this. Like, if we blocked you, or if we blocked this guy.
Wait, where are you seeing a 2-die on the ball?
He had a 1-die on the ball. Oh, no, it's a catcher.
It's a catcher.
Yeah.
He's a red die. He had to do a bunch of GFIs to get a red die and a dodge off tackle.
No.
Like, it wasn't free, for sure. And we see now the cost of it not being free.
Well, he did push him, and that makes it awkward. Right, he's gonna have to dodge now, and he also has to do GFIs. So we're gonna blitz the wrestle piece out of the way and then dodge off and try to score. But that's dice, and we could have made that, I think, a bit more difficult if we had a player in the middle somewhere as another scoring threat or like a screen piece.
Oh, 1 in 9's with the ogre though, so that does free up the Ulf, which is something.
So can we chain push both of them off? No, he's sidestep, so we don't have enough players to chain push both of them off. But we can just blitz the wrestle piece off pretty easily with the Juggernaut guy. It is going to be a 1-die, right? No, because we don't have a good way of getting an assist in there. Can this guard make it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Only with 2 GFIs.
Delicious.
That. Oh, we're blitzing the sidestep piece. I see. I was gonna say that's the wrong angle to blitz the wrestle piece from.
Thankfully, we're all freaking
Now you're gonna have to do a lot of dodges, unless we're just not scoring. Okay, that's interesting.
That was a decision.
I think, I was thinking you blitz the wrestle guy from the other angle with the Juggernaut, so you push him out of the way at least, and you'd only have to do 1 dodge off. That was kind of a weird decision, but all right, fair enough. I don't know what the point of that was. It stopped you from scoring. Well, B-Dog gets his so that puts this in the realm of tie, certainly, and potentially a win, given that B-Dog isn't down. He's down 2 players, which is important, and they are important players. So if Larkstar wanted to, he could pretty safely make this a tie, I think. But if he does something similar to that again, we might not see that. Galaxy Brain.
It's a bit of a galaxy brain moment, for sure. Humans did not quite set up close enough to give Larkstar extra blocks, so not punished here. Not punished for not making the bad decisions.
So the best way of saying that is he didn't do it wrong. Instead of
he didn't do it wrong.
Not punished for not making a mistake.
I know, I'm firing on all
me too.
cylinders today. Never not piling on. No, these makes sense. Not getting anything on the LOS.
Never
though.
not be piling on.
if I recall,
A lot of humans tied up now. No one out, but at least they're down.
Yeah, and
see if there's any good.
so we can get the Surehand's doing work there. Moving up with the rest of our team. So I mean, Larkstar can make this a tie pretty easily if he just keeps his team together, tries to lock up some humans, blitz piles on once a turn, slowly removes humans.
Gets something out the hit, which is nice. Doesn't get a stun even for it though, so not a great turn as far as Larkstar is concerned because he didn't remove every
So it's
TC
pretty.
hit.
It'd be pretty easy for Larkstar to pull a tie out of this if he wants to, but if he wants to win, he's going to have to get going. And if he doesn't care, he'll probably keep punching things, given that he can't make playoffs anymore.
Yeah. I don't think you did.
It's pretty easy to redevelop your killers when what you try to do is kill things.
Yeah, I mean, Berserkers are very good at
Yeah,
leveling as
I mean,
well,
when
must
you
be
can
said.
score with them relatively easily because they're not bad ball carriers with... Oh, Fu Manchu is dead. Speaking of killers, dying? Oh,
I mean, that
it
gets
does,
the
and
apple,
he's fine.
surely.
So there you go. They're not bad ball carriers on the Norse team. I mean, given that they're moving 6 on block and Agi 3.
I mean, also they have jump up Frenzy. Like, I think people underestimate how much of a kill skill Frenzy
More
is
blocks.
when, you're committed to it. More blocks is more death.
Yeah, like, not only are they good at blocking stuff with Frenzy and block, you can also just feed them touchdowns relatively easily if you want to get that extra, like, reliable 3 SPP, right? Instead of, like it is with, like, a Beast of Nurgle or whatever, when you're like, well, 2 SPP away from leveling, let's try to get 3 die blocks, because that's going to be easier than scoring with them. You can just, feed them a touchdown if you need to complete a level or whatever. It's relatively easy to do when they're Agi 3 moving 6.
Yep, for sure. Jump is awesome.
Boing.
Boing. I was watching Sakura, Cardcaptor Sakura recently.
I forgot that
so
show existed until right
it
now.
was like the jump card. Well, it's on Netflix recently. It was added to Netflix recently, I should say. And
I remember seeing commercials for it, like in junior
So-
high, maybe, like because it was on TV then.
Oh, for sure.
Card captors. Da-da-na-na-na-na.
well, that's the like. I think
Oh
that's
yeah,
the, like the
probably.
English intro, and it's
But that's the
really-
one that would have been on TV in So that's what I have in my mind. I've literally never watched it, but I've seen the intro a bunch of times.
Well, let's get the shadows standing the stairs, shall we? See what we can see.
I have been not watching anything useful. I have been watching the entire Marvel Cinematic Universe in chronological order, because it's something I don't care about. That is background noise that I can put up while I paint models. Right, it's something I don't need to watch. That is also in a very defined order, so it's pretty easy to just keep clicking through them.
I am watching. Dodges up for the foul and re-rolls it. That's a bold move. It wants to get the killer out, and there's no more Apo, so I understand, I guess. What have I been watching?
I'm up to that weird section where it's all the Netflix TV shows that had like 2 seasons. So it's like, watch episodes 1 to 4 of Daredevil, then watch episodes 1 to 4 of Luke Cage, then I watch episodes 2 to 8 of Daredevil. And I'm like,
you look at like a weird flowchart.
It's just a list, but yeah.
Like,
there are some weird things because there's time travel in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so it's in the most recent season, so it's difficult to figure out where to put those. But frankly, this isn't about watching the Marvel things, it's about having noise on a screen in front of me while I paint models. So I don't particularly care about what's actually there.
I mean, back in the days before Twitch streams, I would often have like some TV show on while I like gamed. Like if I was playing a game that lent itself to
same.
Just kind of like
100%. I always have like
like if I was like grinding in WoW, I would like have some cartoon on.
Yeah, 100%. It was always like TV shows or YouTube videos or whatever. I find Twitch streams hard to tune out because of all the like interaction that exists. Like I want to talk to people or whatever, and that makes me pull attention away from whatever I'm trying to pay attention to. So I tend to not use Twitch streams for that, but
depends on the it depends on what I'm playing. Like I'll often have a Twitch stream on and then I'll mute it while I play like a game of like ships or whatever. Because while I'm in the game, it's too distracting. But otherwise,
I'm currently painting Plague Marines.
Yeah, you told me about your Nurgle Warhammer army.
Yep.
Something I never got into. I mean, I didn't get into Magic until like there was a digital version I could play. So
I like how
more fouls. B-Dog always went for the maximum.
I like how Larkstar just sort of like backed off, and he's now just getting punched by humans, which is kind of unexpected. Like he could have just kept pushing forward and probably have made things pretty awkward for B-Dog, but instead he backed off, and now B-Dog is like K and just have started punching all the Norse players to death. He's like, I'm winning, you know, I'll engage with this and keep fouling you. Nice Marines. Yeah. No, man, Nurgle is the way. I play Nurgle in Blood Bowl. I have to play Nurgle in tabletop, right? Gobbo Steve. Injured.
Oof. That's the fouling piece, the wrestle catcher. All that movement
plus,
just to get a better run.
Slaanesh is too elfy. It's all about like speed and like agility, and screw that. I want to be like slow and plodding and methodical. Give me Nurgle all day.
What are they? Nerds?
No, they're like sex cultists, but you know that's kind of like nerds, if you know anything.
I know.
I mean, Noise Marines are just band kids.
Fair, you know. I don't know what Noise Marines are.
Every Chaos God has their own sort of like defined Marine, basically. Like your standard Spec Marine, each Chaos God has their own. So Plague Marines are the Nurgle ones. They're like tough. Khorne has Berserkers. Tzeentch has Thousand Suns, and they're like Rubric Marines, and Slaanesh has Noise Marines, like as their like special sort of like unique flavor Marine.
Yeah, they're just like
they literally have like they're modeled with like guitars and stuff. But the like lore is that they're basically like they're mutated with like weird vocal cords and stuff, and they like scream at you and you can't take it and your head explodes, sort of thing. At least that's what initially happened in the Horus Heresy with Eidolon.
No, we see a failed dodge eating a reroll even though break tackle exists, followed by a successful non-break tackle usage, which is just the most classic shit. Ooh, Star Lino going down to the Yeti. Just a stun, but he is out.
I like the Nurgle Marines because they're just super hard to kill. That's a failed GFI.
Rip humans.
They both have more toughness than normal like Marine models, so they're harder to hurt, and then they also have like a chance to... They have a rule called Disgustingly Resilient, which is kind of like regen, basically, right? Like it lets you potentially ignore a wound that would kill you otherwise.
That is an overwhelming theme for those sort of armies.
Yeah. It's just sort of slow, plodding, methodical, difficult to kill, like inexorable advance kind of thing. The Tzeentch Marines are all about, you know, using psychic powers and blah blah blah. The Khorne ones are like charge into close combat and chop everybody up, please. And the Slaanesh ones are like kind of fast and mobile. Oh, that's another failed dodge. Like, I feel like Larkstar could have done a lot more to like protect his ball than he has been doing. I mean, to be fair, the Norse pendulum has swung the other way, and he's certainly starting to get removed as much as he's dishing it out.
And he throws an inaccurate pass. Scoring next turn is going to be tough, I think. So, yeah, going to be an uphill battle to make this 1-0 or 1-1.
Yeah, the humans can pretty likely pick this up here. There's still one tackle zone on the ball, but I mean that it's a 4+ pickup that you certainly probably try to make.
I think there's a hill.
I mean, I wouldn't hate just stacking tackle zones on it either. The Norse are not in a great position to clear this off.
That's probably fair.
Especially if you get a break here. No, I mean, even without the break, it doesn't matter.
Well, we failed the dodge, so I guess it doesn't matter. Never mind, we're going to reroll it. Given that you don't have a reroll for this, stacking tackle zones is better. If you had the reroll still, I would consider maybe picking it up, so you had a 4+ with a reroll. But I think just putting the tackle zones on it, given that the pickup was probably going to be a turnover. Well, what can we do here? I think like scattering the ball is probably your option, but that's not really possible given that one of them is stand firm and one of them is sidestep. You'd have to blitz with your Juggernaut guy, who I think is not on the field anymore. Also, we turned over, so that's irrelevant. Oh, the Juggernaut guy is, but he blitzed something else. Well, things are not looking good for Larkstar anymore. Given that with this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... No, he doesn't have a score. With that knockdown on the Ulf, he has no scoring threats anymore. So this is going to be a win for B-Dog. And I feel like this could have very easily been at least a tie for Larkstar, so... And now it's going to be... I would be very surprised if this wasn't 2-0 for humans, given the catcher's position. So just try to kill something on the last turn and call it a game for Larkstar here, I think.
We'd certainly call it a game.
It was a game for some values of game.
It occurred.
2 people participated in a consensual game of Blood Bowl.
I don't like it. When you say consensual like that,
yes,
it makes it worse. Yeah. and I would like you to
saying it that way implies that there's non-consensual Blood Bowl, which seems weird. But I'm sure that there probably is. Some people definitely don't want to play some games that they have to play. No, I was looking for, like, I think mutual was the word I was looking for, but I was trying to come up with the sort of word where they, like, both agreed, they both participated in the game. And then the first thing that came to mind was consensual, so we went with it. No, competitive was not a word that I was looking for.
Oh, you're such a piece of shit.
I was looking for, like, a game that two people participated in and agreed to play. So that is 2-0 for B-Dog, which makes the top of the table certainly interesting in Roll 1. There is going to be a lot of shifting in Week 13, given that 4 of the top 5 coaches play each other, and the other one is B-Dog, who is in the top 5 as well due to this win. So he doesn't have to play any of his direct competition, and by definition, either they're all going to tie or 2 of them have to lose. So there's going to be a lot of switching up there, and he's in a good position to take advantage of that switching if he also wins his game next week. So it's a pretty good result for B-Dog there.
It is indeed.
So let's get REBBL.net up there, shall we?
Yep, I am already ready to go.
Perfect.
Give one.
So what were the other results that we had? Well, we had Toast Guy and Stouticus, so the Rat Bastards versus Grungy Desserts. It was 3-1 for the Rats. Not terribly unsurprised. Like, this is the kind of match that's hard to predict, because either the Stouticus is just going to kill the Rats, or he's not going to be able to deal with the Rat speed. Like, that's kind of how that matchup goes. And it looks like he was unable to kill enough rats. In fact, his Beast of Nurgle died. Yeah, it's a dead beast.
Rats
he also killed the Rotter, but who cares? And in return, we only got a couple badly hurts. So the rats, it's doing work on the Nurgle here. 7 armor breaks for the rats, which was 3 Kaz and a KO for the on the Nurgle, and the Nurgle doing 2 Kaz and 4 KOs to the rats.
Yeah, not quite getting there. Glart
apparently
getting a
Sweltering
Kaz
resisted as well, which certainly apparently came up big, so that could also contribute to that. If the Nurgle lose movement or like initiative in that matchup, the rats just run away and the Nurgle can't do anything. No levels anywhere. The Beast of Nurgle being down is a blessing or a curse, depending on how you want to look at it. I mean, it's not incredibly useful in some matchups, so it saves him a boatload of TV, but if he's up against other matchups, he's going to really want either that guard or the tentacles. So it's, you're not happy to lose a player with 4 levels, but on the other hand, none of them are blocked yet, so this gives you a new chance at a better Beast of Nurgle. So, hey,
it's true.
Certainly, a blessing maybe in some ways, but not a blessing in others. And given that he's playing rats, he probably is sad that it's gone in this next matchup. We had Travel Scrabble and Ramaset. This was the other game we were considering looking at, but somebody else had streamed it recently, so I didn't want to do that. The reason why this one was important was that both coaches have a chance to make playoffs. Whoever won, whoever won this game still has a chance to make playoffs. Whoever lost this game is out of the running, basically. So whoever, either Ramaset or Travel Scrabble, a win would have been really big for them to try to make it. So this one was pretty big that way. But they're both still out of playoffs. They have to win their next week, and some other things have to happen. But Ramaset took this one 2-1. And there was another big death. Minor 49er is dead.
Yeah, I mean, this has been the season of Travel Scrabble finally getting his taxes called, I mean, hell. He's lost quite a few big pieces this season, and last season's playoffs, too, to be fair. But,
I mean, if he ever loses one of those wolves, I think this team is just retired, right? This team is still reasonable with both of those super wolves, given that you'll still be able to get inducements and that sort of thing, and the flesh golem is good too. But if either one of those wolves dies, I think he's probably on the retirement block.
I would say so.
Then there was a a strength bust, but it was on one of the loner linemen, so I guess we don't really care there. We've got a couple Kaz and a couple KOs on Ramaset, and Travel Scrabble took some in return as well, and looks like the elves just managed to take that one despite the numbers disadvantage. And we had Ragedorf and Not for Science, not particularly relevant for either coach. I don't think either of them can make playoffs anymore, but we'll see that with the predictor later. So, trying to get a development game into this one. Unsurprisingly, the elves that have had a hard time as of late lost to dwarves. They beat them up. However, Master Dwarf both leveled and died, so that's the thing.
Not even one of the Master Dwarf wasn't one of the really battered ones, was he? A rando death. Because it's not one of the stat freaks, and I think he was only keeping the busted stat freaks. But
MVP on Waldorf, is a thing. It's not great. It's not bad. Whatever. There's a dead kick lineman, which is actually super annoying. Kick is pretty important. And then some M&Gs and badly hurts, and we leveled one of the rookie blitzers, which is something that Not for Science is probably trying to get out of that game, given that neither of them could really win or make playoffs anymore. Both TDs coming on Helsdorf. And anything close to leveling otherwise? Not super close, but yeah, that level dying just feels bad, man. Superfed and Lumi, we watched that live last week, so we don't really need to cover it now. It was just happening during our recap, so we watched it. If you want to see that, go back and check out the YouTube video. But Luminous took that one 2-1, which is pretty big for Luminous. Superfed can probably afford it, given that he's still in playoffs, certainly. If he had won that, it would have locked his spot that week and would have made it a lot easier for him to maintain that top spot in the coming week. But it was a big win for Luminous. But Luminous's dice were really good. Is the spoilers of that one if you want to go watch that.
I mean, I think there was a bit of a potato at some point that I felt was unnecessary, but yeah, the Vamps were in fine form.
Is still in first despite that loss. He could afford it. It just means that he doesn't.
I mean, the game literally didn't matter other than for a bye week. He had a 99.99% chance of making playoffs before that game.
So he's still in first, but it's possible he loses it now, and he would have been pretty likely to maintain the bye week if he had won that, I think. But losing it isn't a huge deal.
Lumi, I believe, is playing the Chorfs this week, so he's desperate for that bye week.
He is, yeah, and Superfed is playing Stouticus, so both of them are probably going to be happy about it.
They're both.
Then Super Base and Acropolis, the Broken Bone Battalion versus Dazed and Confused. 1-0 for the Nurgle. Accident Prone Andy died. That's the thing. The Strength Blitzer being dead. It was a deadly REL 1.
Yeah, it really was. Well, we haven't gotten to REL 2 yet. It might be totally... Oh, and the movement up catcher got movement busted, so...
And the strength up thrower got a niggle, so a lot of damage there. 7 KOs and 4 Kaz suffered by the elves explains why this was 1-0. There just weren't any elves, so the Nurgle could do what they wanted.
Yeah, elves got utterly removed. Super Bases had a really rough last couple of games.
Yeah, that's true. So Superfed pointing out that it depends on what his first matchup looks like, because he might want to try to level one of his Storm Vermin who recently had to get replaced. So given that the playoff draw is on Sunday, he could theoretically know what either one of his two opponents would be depending on what spot he ends up in. So he could...
I think you don't always... No, because it's not seeded.
It's seeded sort of like a position, right? Like REL second is going to play, or REL 1 second is going to play Big O.
No, I mean it's not known at this point. It's not, you don't know. It's not like in other tournaments, in the minors, for instance, where you're if I'm first, I'm playing the 8th place in this place. You don't. It's not.
Well, it is going to be seeded, and it's going to be seeded on Sunday, so he'll know.
Yes, but it's not seeded based on position, is what I'm saying. It's
seeded based on position. With a certain amount of draw. There's pools, and then
Oh, okay. So he will be playing someone in a lower.
And if he thinks he has an easy.
I've never watched the spreadsheet stream, even though I've made playoffs.
If he thinks he'll have an easier match, he could maybe try to game it a little bit that way to actually get that game to try to level his player, versus trying to just take the bye. And it's not it's a little bit random, but there's like a pool, right? Like you're not going to play against another Big O1 or REL 1 or G-Man 1 in your first week as like a REL 1 qualifier. Anyway,
Dead elves are often
so
terrible
the elves
at doing things.
didn't really have players. They failed dice rolls, and Acropolis takes this one 1-0. Some decent SPP, but nothing that gets him levels, right? He MVP on a Nurgle Warrior for a Kaz away. He's 3 away on another Nurgle Warrior. He's 1 away on this Nurgle Warrior. He's 1 on a 1 away on his block tackle Pestigore. Like, his next game could be huge for levels. Like, he could get like 3 or 4 levels next game easy, which would be amazing for him. Oh, you ban somebody spamming things? Then we had B-Dog versus Larkstar, which we saw, and then Bull Canoe or Volcano Mongoose versus Big Chuck, and Mongoose took this one, which is really big for Mongoose because it keeps him in that sort of top 4 section, as we've been talking about. Big Chuck can't make it anymore, but it was important for Mongoose to win this to remain in competition, given how tight the top 5 spots are. 12 armor breaks versus 14 armor breaks. Volcano took 1 KO and 3 KAs. Big Chuck took 4 KAs and 3 KOs. It's a little bit more KO on Chuck's side. No real permanent death. I mean, Agi bust on dead meat, but you don't care that much. He's already probably good enough. You're not going to feed him any more touchdowns or anything, so the Agi bust is pretty irrelevant. And Chuck getting 2 levels on 2 rookie beastmen is really nice as well, because he could use that. Level on the ball carrying Hobgoblin, less relevant, but maybe roll a stat or something. No real damage.
It's going to be a big deal in the Vamp game for sure. Like, Vamps are not very speedy, but they're speedier than most of the Torf teams, so having those fast, strong players to chase down vampires is going to be clutch. Thankfully, it's not the one with tackle, which is going to be really relevant versus Limmy, as Limmy's Vamps all have dodge, I believe.
Because if you the normal team, if you leave back like that safety is probably strength 3, so he's not going to be good enough for chasing down like a potato-y Vamp. Bull Centaurs can do that by themselves. With an assist would be better, but so being down the 2 speedy players is certainly going to be frustrating.
Did you just disregard the safety chore? Never seen the safety chore so callously discarded.
Maybe there'll be a safety chorf in this game. We'll see. So now let's look at the leaderboard quickly. And you can see what I'm talking about. So Superfed and Luminous at 23 are both locked, but they could easily drop down to, I think, all the way down to 5th, because Mongoose, Staticus, B-Dog could win their games, and they could both lose because they're not playing each other, and they could end up in 4th and 5th. But we're going to see probably some combination. They have to be in it somewhere. But Ramiset and Superbase could jump up above Staticus. Like, there's a bunch of things that could happen here, and I will show you with the little div predictor here when I bring it up. So Superfed and Luminous are locked. Volcano and Grungy Desserts are very likely to stay there. B-Dog is possible to stay there, but it's Voltrex Vanguard and the Broken Bone Battalion could vault up ahead of people, which is why the top 5 spots are the order is still pretty up in the air, and only 2 of them are locked.
Yeah, that looks about.
So like Superfed could theoretically finish 5th, but it's pretty much impossible. His most likely spots are 45 or 1st or 3rd, and I think that's depending on whether he wins or loses, basically. Sorry.
Nothing. It sounded like you were about to say 45th. Fed's gonna fall all the way down to 45th.
He's gonna get demoted all the way down to like REL 5 because he loses the game so hard.
It's just REL 6. It's Fed alone with a bunch of.
No, it basically depends on whether he wins or loses. He's most likely to get 1st or 3rd, and then Superfed, Lumi, Volcano, so Mongoose, Staticus, B-Dog, Ramiset, and Superbase are your contenders for those 5 spots, sort of respectively. So, shall we predict those games? Apparently, Big Chuck and Acropolis has happened. I don't understand. That has managed to happen. That's true, but it hasn't. It didn't happen 3 seconds ago, so it is only updated as of right now in REBBL.net.
Yeah, it just got popped out. It was a tie, 2 MNGs, no real damage. It was 12th versus 11th, so we'll pile that away in the things we don't care about. Also, if it was going to end up as a tie,
yeah, easy.
that was definitely it. Yeah.
So
I mean, no one was going to get any points
that's
either
true. Bogue Bombers and the Rat Bastards. We have B-Dog and Toskai.
Yeah.
So B-Dog is missing one of his linemen, one of the tackle guard pieces, but he's got the rest of his team lying around. And Toskai has his whole team. Everybody's still available. 11 players, and he's going to get 190k for the rats. So Rats with the Wizard incoming meme, you know.
Rats with a Wizard.
It's Rats with a Wizard versus humans, but the humans are actually pretty annoying for the rats, I think.
They are, yeah. That's an incredibly tough matchup, I think.
So I don't know. It's hard. As this one is hard, I think. But given that it's important for B-Dog, I think I'm going to take that one just because it, I think, causes the most drama. So I want to take it.
Sure, I'll take the Rat Bastards for fun.
They
but
do.
I think
It's a pretty good team to play the rats with.
I'll
Surprise.
actually make tips this week.
It's a battle.
So we're in our
so surprisingly, you not predicting helped this week because I did really bad.
Oh, but I'm still like 20 points behind you.
Because you've been really bad in REL 2.
No, I've been really bad everywhere. I'm like barely above average in REL 1.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm winning, but I didn't gain much of an advantage from this week having predicted at all. Locust kind of came out of nowhere with his predictions and is tied with Saberfed now, but we'll get to that later. Volcano and Lumi, the other really big game this week. So 1750 Chorfs and 2020 Vampires. So the Chorfs 2020 Vampires, that just sounds like a bad omen. Like, is that cut?
It does. It's weird. It's a weird way to put it.
You know, we've had Corona, we've had like, you know, Australian fires. Next is the 2020 vampire invasion. So the Chorfs get 270, right? And they are missing the Bull Centaur, as you said.
Yeah, I mean, I like Lumi here a lot. I think that, like, I understand why people would expect the Chorfs to beat the hell out of the Vamps, and I think they will to some extent, but I don't think it's
yeah, that's fair. I think Lumi has enough skills, like on his vampires with the reliability sort of things now, to not get too tied up against a million Chorfs, and that's kind of how the Chorfs want to win this. Is just like, here's a bunch of guard, I'm going to kill you, and I think Lumi can avoid that with the players that he has, and then with one of the Bull Centers out, trying to defend against, you know, Vamps running away is going to be difficult. So I think I like Lumi here as well. I need to find my sheet again. I kind of lost it for a second. There we go. Beard to Death and Ragedorf. Oh dear lord. That's a game. 1880 Norse and 1780 Dwarves. So it's going to be two teams that can't really make playoffs anymore, who both have a boatload of Mighty Blow slamming into each other. I feel like the Dwarfs probably win that in the long run, given that they're armor 9 and the North's armor 7. No, they're not. Two of them. One of them's armor 7, one of them's armor 8.
Lost most of the
well, he still has Furious Dwarf. He's just out for this game. The annoying bit is he only has 10 players, so he's going to have a rookie Longbeard. So he's going to have one Troll Slayer, one Blitzer, and an extra Longbeard. And there's not really a whole lot you can do with 100k in inducements for dwarves.
Double Bay, but I don't know, you're not really like to get KOs as dwarves, right? Probably just a spare Apple, to be honest. I mean, you could go Bribe.
With no bench and no dirty player.
I mean, against.
And do you think that's gonna the argument there is like to dissuade Larkstar from piling on? And do you think that'll work? Because the answer is no, it won't.
No, I mean, I never buy the dissuade people from piling on thing. I just say it because.
I mean, and given that it's a match that's not particularly relevant, just like the Apo to save one of your players is probably a good idea. You know, Larkstar is a big bench. But I think given that both teams are inclined to punch each other, the Dwarves will probably come out on top punching each other.
I mean, fair.
The
No, actually,
Fair
I
enough.
think Larkstar wins this. I lied. I'm doing a double take. No, wait, no.
Yes, no, yes.
God, that's hard. Because I think Larkstar's team should
yes,
win.
but this is not just about the teams. This is about the coaches.
It's not. You're right. Yeah, I'll
We
go
have Super
Dwarves,
Base and Ramaset, the Elf off to go with the punch off. The Pro Elves are going to get 380 against the High Elves, given that they have no team. They have one Blitzer and two catchers. The Blitzer is really good.
Yeah. Poor Super Base. I mean, this is what happens to Pro Elves, certainly, but it's happened really hard to him really suddenly.
I mean, he still has good players. They're just out for this game, given that they got injured last game. So they're he still has three catchers and a Blitzer and a thrower who are good. He's just missing two of them for this one. Versus Ramaset, who's got a much healthier team, but none of the players are particularly gross, other than the fact that he has three guard High Elves. So I think this is going to come down to the inducement game, right? What can Super Base get done with his 300k, and if he can use it correctly, because just on the face of things, Ramaset probably has the advantage here.
Yes, I'd say so.
There is the good strip ball and there's the good Blitzer, but that's not going to do much against. I am agreeing with you. The other big one in that, because there are 3 this week, is Superfed and Stouticus. 1580 Skaven versus 2050 Nurgle, without a beast. 2050 and no beast. No level 4 beast, and he's still 2050. Oh my god.
That's a hell of a thing.
So here's the thing, is Nurgle are slow, and Stouticus has extra slow Nurgles. He bought a new beast, yeah. Okay.
He did. He's playing Nurgle with
He did buy a new beast, sure. But it's not level 4.
Hunger Stroopwafel?
I mean, not.
I know that Stroopwafels are a Belgian snack, I think, or a snack from the Netherlands, a Dutch snack. So
he's slower than normal, given one of his Pestigors is movement busted, 2 of the Nurgle Warriors are, but movement 4 isn't that relevant against Skaven, frankly. The Beast of Nurgle tentacles are still a thing, but without break, tackle, stand firm, it's way less scary for the rats, because they can either dot, or they can either just uphill him off people, or and he's pretty unlikely to be able to reposition off of a line rat or something onto actually important players. So he's not as good as the leveled one would have been. And Superfed gets a lot of inducements here. So given that I like rats versus Nurgle in general, and these Nurgle are extra slow, I think I would like to take Superfed.
Did he have to?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think Fed's going to have a good time here. It's a question, I guess, of how hard he's playing for the win, but it's a decent chance to get it a bye week for sure. Yes. I forget, is it an actual bye week in the sense that you get SPP?
I think so, because it's or I don't know. I don't know how they admin it. I don't know if it's an admin win with SPP or whatever, but it's literally you don't have to play that week.
I know you don't have to play. I know it's a bye in the tournament sense. I just wonder
it's not
if it's
an
a bye
SPP one.
in the...
Oh, right, because I thought they clear MNGs, but I think they just do that for the playoffs rather than it being a bonus for the first bye. Because I was going to say, I think they would clear MNGs, but they do that anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And then we have Travel Scrabble versus Not for Science. So this game doesn't matter too much, because Travel Scrabble having not won last week or this week means that he can't make playoffs. And neither can the High Elves. So this is relatively irrelevant.
Relatively irrelevant.
Yeah, the MNG, I know the MNG clear is no SPP, but I wasn't sure if the bye one was or not. And I guess they just don't play because it wouldn't make sense to like give them an admin loss when they've already had an MNG clear anyway, is what I was trying to say in a stupid roundabout way. So we've got Not for Science is missing a blitzer, but that doesn't matter. He's got Lord Nathaniel Marr and his good thrower and, you know, the Agi wrestle piece, and it's kind of what he's got going on. A lot of movement busts. Travel Scrabble is missing Minor 49er, but those two wolves, it turns out, are kind of what you want against an elf team. And he does get 100k. I feel like I want to take Travel Scrabble for this, but it's not really that clear, considering he lost his white and doesn't have other whites. Like, so he's relying so heavily on the werewolves for this matchup. If anything happens to them, he's gonna have a hard time.
Yeah.
As long as he has them, I think he
tough.
wins. But if something happens to one of those wolves early, he is just not going to be able to do. Like, this is the 2-man game, right? Like, this is the werewolves and their screen.
Yeah, I believe in one last hurrah from Not for Science on this one.
Okay,
I'll be right
then
back.
I'll go queue up REL 2, and I will entertain the chat, I guess. That's the wrong REL 2. That's my REL 2. This is the right REL 2. REL 2 is very interesting too as well, for reasons that we will see in a moment. In particular, this loss.
Very aggressively and be like, don't. And then,
because you'll note that Urs and Locus are... So Urs can be jumped by Atomics even, all the way down to 5th place. If... I mean, that's TD differential, right? Like, Atomics is going to have to win by 5, which is not going to happen as an Urgle team. But he could at least tie, and then Locus and Calric could jump up, and Uber definitely has the touchdown differential to beat Urs if Urs loses. So Urs is in first and could just drop out of the playoffs easily, and his opponent this week is Locus, right? So one of these two coaches is going to lose, or tie, in which case Calric and Uber could jump, Atomics could jump Locus, or Calric.
Yeah,
it's huge. Like, we're going into week 3 with 3 playoff spots and a Challengers Cup spot, or week 13, sorry, and none of them are locked. So it's a little nuts. First, in what was a bit of a surprise, the Horn of Gorthank beat Marvelous Creatures 2-1.
Pretty unexpected, pretty big for the
standings,
terribly
big, right? But it does matter for the elves, I believe. If he had won, he would have been theoretically in range of like challengers. Or no, he wouldn't have been. He would have been at 18. So no, it doesn't matter too much.
He had a bad couple of rounds, so yeah, he was doing well early on.
Because this is a Chaos team that hasn't had much going for it for a while, other than these 2 warriors. However, these 2 warriors did work this game, because look at this elf team.
Yeah, just removed the entire
7 Kaz suffered and 3 KOs means the elves were basically pitch cleared. So that's why we won 2-1. I mean, the elves did manage to get a touchdown in there, but the Chaos could just score their second touchdown to win kind of at will. And he did get 2 levels, and he really needs that. So a level on the warrior is great, and then a level on another beastman is good to have. Nothing for the elves. No real damage either. I mean, a lineman died and an assassin got niggled. Neither of those are big losses.
I mean, they eat into your bench, but yeah, not the biggest deal.
Then we had Locus and our name is Legion. Locus won this 2-1, which is big for him. As we just talked about, it keeps him very, very close to Urs, especially given that Urs lost. And let's see. So 49 blocks, 7 KOs, and 4 Kaz suffered for Talk Show Terror, but 1 actual Kaz. Oh no, that's the All-Stars Chaos. No actual Kaz. So Regen did a thing. But it definitely made the drive easier when you remove all those players, but they all came back. So it's good for Our Name is Legion. No permanent damage. Got a Kaz of his own on a werewolf, touchdown on the ghoul. No, and only 2 of those Kaz were from blocks, it looks like. So there's a lot of Kaz from like failed dodges or fouls or whatever. So while Locust won, he didn't really get a whole lot of SPP out of it, sadly for him. Almost there on Pitbull Baby Breath. One more MVP. Anything else that's close? Doesn't look like it. We got a close on Ellen Regenerous here as well. 4 away. Ellen Regenerous, yeah.
Such a good name.
Uber the Nuber and Rand the Mad. So Uber, this is another important one for Uber in that it keeps him in the conversation. And he beat Kemri 4-1, but that's not terribly unsurprising given Rats against Kemri.
Yeah, I mean, if I did predict this, I certainly would have predicted the Rats, and they did the Rat things. And they even got some good levels, 2 gutter runner levels. Yeah, no shock there. 2 TDs on the natural 1-turner says a lot,
well,
probably.
I mean, that's how you get 4, right?
that's certainly a good way. Hey, now, I've scored 4, and I've never had a movement up gutter runner.
But, I mean, it's easier to win 4-1 with the 1-turner when you normally would have won 2-1, right? Because you can squeeze in that extra turn 8 or turn 16 touchdown or whatever. And SPP is still relevant, or not. And no, it's not on him. He's a legend. But yeah, like you said, he did get T-Card Shop and Tort Apaches levels of their own. Patches Tora got a couple Kaz, but he's a ways away from legend. No real damage in return. Armor bust on the throw rod, but it's not that important. And we got a couple Kaz from the Tomb Guardians, so Rand getting something, at least. So he's pretty close on Red No Blue. He's very close on African and European, and he's pretty close for like MVP range for I'm Not Dead Yet the 4th, which is a very apt name, because he's definitely been dead yet several times.
Yeah. Has it actually been 4, or is he just memeing?
Other than, we could spend 2 seconds and find out, but we won't, because that ruins the surprise. Here We Fall and CR Boys. This is not as big. If Fall won this, I think it would have kept him in the conversation, but him not winning or tying is not great for him, but I don't think he had a very good chance even if he won.
One tree offense goes down permanently. The super passive dream is DOA.
Yep, he did get a pass before he died, though. One last hurrah. We also lost a lineman, but who cares? 4 armor breaks by Here We Fall. He suffered 3 Kaz, 5 KOs, did 1 KO and 0 Kaz in return. So CR Boys bashed him up, but he did manage to score. And, him getting punched a bit probably meant he didn't score a second time. Level on the Werewolf from an MVP who's a rookie, so that's nice. Really good level there.
Yep, gives you a good chance to finally start fishing for some. Well, he's got the Mighty Blow one. I guess he needs just some
you get a
stats
chance at like a strength or an agi werewolf or like a movement werewolf, maybe.
Interesting to see a legend wolf who doesn't take sidestep and only rolls 1 double.
Yeah, the Dauntless is not always a choice there.
I would have thought as a sidestep in particular with the jump up is really nice.
Given that he took jump up, sort of trying to tempt the piling on, the sidestep would be useful. We also leveled the zombie.
Maybe just tempting to piling on, but also just
it's certainly good otherwise. But like that's the meme, right? Like, I'll take jump up so that I know I'll get doubles next. Yes,
that is certainly the meme, and I think it's more like sidestep and jump up pair really nicely together, because like your opponent not only has to worry about you sidestepping onto an area if they fail the block, they also have to worry about you sidestepping into an area if they don't.
Yeah, and then they have their whole movement available to go somewhere if they want, or they could just punch you.
Or to jump up and block your ball if they're on your cage or whatever.
Especially like the movement on the high movement pieces, it's extra valuable because you could be totally willing to roll that 3+ dodge away to move like 11 squares or whatever, 10 I guess on a werewolf, to chase after whoever if you need to. Like, it's pretty valuable for movement saving too. And a level in a zombie, but not terribly relevant. He has a dirty player. He could get another one and then fire this one because he's 3 levels now, but that's the kick, which you probably want to have.
Yeah, You don't need kick as Necro. I would consider it, but also Necro never seemed to want to play lean. I've never met a Necro coach who's like, I need to like slim down. They're just
well, having more zombies is always just nice because it's good to have a bench for when they die and that sort of thing. Okay,
yeah,
and then we had Kael'Ric and Slade, the Black Mage. Kael'Ric winning this one keeps him in the conversation as well. I don't think Slade would have been in the running if they won, but I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head. I think it was just important for Kael'Ric. But I watched some of this. I watched the first half on Slade's stream, and it was very sort of elfy, kind of like Kael'Ric scored really early by just kind of running around the Chorfs while getting punched a lot. So kind of how you'd expect him to win that one. So he did win it, but it cost him a lot of getting punched, right? Except for the Empress.
Died, though, so. Oh, I see. Oh, I saw this result come in. Yeah, Slade having a rough end of season.
Yeah, the Devil also took, I think, his like fourth wizard this season. People keep wizarding the Devil, understandably, and he survived. It was part of a fireball. Like it was kind of, if I get like 2 of these 4 knockdowns, I can have a pretty safe sideline cage kind of deal. Like it was to pop open the corner of a wall of flesh that the Chorfs had set up, and it worked out. And just the Devil is part of that. I don't think he was specifically targeted or anything. But yeah, it was kind of the Brett's playing very agi. It's hard to call it agi, but playing very like running and the sort of elf game. Yeah,
playing the running game is the standard statement. Yeah. And I think you
did it very well. Kael'Ric is a good coach.
Kael'Ric is a coach who is used to playing in the Bash versus Brett's matchup.
Only suffered some. The only permanent damage he took was on a leveled lineman, so who cares?
Oh, and Disciple of Davkul, the ball carrying passing guy, has rolled a double for guard, so he has another shiny guard piece, which is nice.
Yeah, he has a guard piece. Or no, he has 2. He has the Witch Hunter as well.
Oh, wait, so what happened to... Did I miss the Strength 5 dying?
Yeah,
or is the MNG? It's just MNG, I guess.
It only... It's the match report view. It only shows the players right now,
yeah. I was just, for a moment, like, wait, did I miss that piece dying?
The movement Strength Hobgoblin is actually only 2 SPP away from leveling, and that could be a pretty gross ball carrier on a Chorf team. Strength 4, Movement 7. But being down the Bull Centaur is pretty sad. We had Yayo and Shooty, the Old Guard, and Orcsploitation Cinema. You generally probably favor the Nurgle in this type of matchup, especially given that Yayo's team is pretty claw heavy and he's got 4.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's really a question of how, like, Orcs can win it on momentum. If they have a good first few turns, the Nurgle's claw palm isn't firing, they can end up based and dead.
Yeah, the Orcs.
Fast. But based on strength in particular, but the Orcs, the
Orcs can win on like momentum / just guard spam, because Nurgle often don't have enough guard to counter all of your players just being there, and then they can't get any blocks. Also, Shooty has his stupid thrower who can yeet it real good, and he did twice. Didn't result in a touchdown though. Yayo got 4 Kaz and 3 KOs on the Orcs, which is pretty good.
A death on the Blodge Guard Blitzer. That's unfortunate.
MVP on a regular Blitzer. Couple badly here. It's nothing terribly important there. Kaz on the Black Orc, so he's now 7 away from Legend, which is pretty close to a Legend Black Orc, which I don't know if we've seen.
Yeah, not very often, for sure. I'm sure we've seen one, but
we can search. Not, There's a handy dandy tool in REBBL.net, but once again, that takes effort and it ruins the mystery. We got a Kaz on dead, which puts him 1 Kaz away from a level. The touchdown came on the Mighty Blow block Pestigore to put him a Kaz away from a level. So not only did Yayo win this, he got relevant SPP, certainly. So it worked out pretty well for him. Took no damage, all in all. Yayo probably feels pretty good about that one. Then Atomics and Urs. This is the big one from this division this week, in that Urs lost it. If he had won this, he would have locked his...
He doesn't have a
Oh yeah,
high
you'd
TV
expect him
Nurgle,
to lose
so-
it. I'm not saying that's like, I'm not saying it's a surprise that he lost. But if he won this, it would have locked his playoff spot. So losing this means he doesn't lock his playoff spot. But no, I predicted the Nurgle. I mean, it's a huge Nurgle team with 3 Claw Mighty Blow, 2 of them Claw Palm, against a Lizard team with like 4 Saurus. Like the Nurgle probably win that.
Nice.
Urs can be happy that of the 7 Kaz he sustained, they were all badly hurts except for an MNG on a rookie Saurus. So that could have been way worse for him, given that he's already hurting for players. But he didn't win. Did manage to score on one of the skinks. Two Kaz came from the Legend Nurgle Warrior, which does nothing for Atomics, but he got 2 Kaz and the MVP on Chucky to level him. Claw Mighty Blow piling on, so he can just take Tackle to be way more reliable at that, which is pretty nice. And then he got a level on a random Rotter, who could be another dirty player, could be Wrestle for LOS duty, could be Kick if you really want it. A lot of options there, depending on what you feel like you want.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good.
So this is a good one for Atomics here as well. Sad for Urs.
Urs not quite able to pull out the skinky
certainly.
nonsense.
So you can see we talked about this a little bit, but we can see what that does. So right, like if Urs had won that, he would be at 28 and nice and safe, because nobody else would be able to jump him. But him losing means that there are 2 coaches that can definitely jump him, 1 coach that can tie him and then beat him on touchdown differential. So he could fall all the way out to 4th. So I think he's going to make at least challengers. I don't think he can get to 5th unless Atomics somehow wins like 5-0, which I don't think is going to happen on a Nurgle team. But I guess it's theoretically possible. So he could fall to 5th, maybe, but I wouldn't call that a likely outcome. So let's bring up the predictor, and I'll have to reload it here for the other div. There are 3 playoff spots and 1 Challengers Cup spot. Run. So yeah, like the predictor has him at a 0.4% chance coming 5th, but I would call that 0, given that it requires a Nurgle team to win by 5. So he's at worst probably going to make Cripple Cup, Challengers Cup, the other thing that begins with C. And your other likely options are still All Stars of Chaos and Battle Brothers, but Anagram Catastrophe could jump up, and depending on what happens, the Rowdy Rebel Rousers could too. And the reason why that is all happening is because of the fact that Urs plays Locust this week, so that's the big decider. Theoretically, Shooty could still make challengers. I'm gonna do that forever now because I did it once. And now I'm gonna do it forever. Or Exploitation Cinema could theoretically make Challengers Cup, but I don't know how that would work out. So he would win. He would have to win and go to 22, and other coaches. So Uber would have to lose. Atomics would have to lose. It doesn't matter what happens with Urs, Locust, and Kelric, and then he would also have to win by like 6, so that he could beat Uber in touchdown differential. So I don't think that'll happen.
But it's technically possible.
Uber would need to lose, and then the touchdown like swing between Uber losing and Shooty winning would have to be 6, right? So like the Orcs have to win by like 3, and the Rats lose by 3 or something.
13.
Yeah.
So you're saying
Slade and Soul of Dragonsfire. So Chaos Dwarfs and Dark Elves.
Slade
it is. He's down 2 blockers and a Bull Centaur, which is pretty significant. Although the blockers that they do have left are certainly really good ones against elves, right?
I don't think you want the Chorfs to be the underdog in this matchup ever, though. So I'm a little concerned.
Yeah, I'm going to predict this one in favor of the Dark Elves, but Chorfs could Chorf, given the Chorfs that are alive are really good killer ones. But yeah, being an underdog, being down only having 4 blockers, only having 1 bull centaur does not spell good time for Chorfs.
No, I don't think so either.
CR Boys and Yayo, 1710 Necro versus 2080 Nurgle, but that is actually like closer to 2000 because we're 60k, so 2020 Nurgle. Still 310k.
20 Nurgle.
Coming after the vampires. I kind of like the Nurgle for this one, I think. They've got enough tackle to be able to make the Necro sweat. Sometimes, you know, you can be like, oh, he has no tackle, I can expose this ghoul.
Also uncomfortable with the statement
The
Necro sweat,
Coach sweat.
just so we're clear.
Is that better?
Necro Coach sweat is
It's
arguably
very
worse,
salty.
given my knowledge of Necro Coach.
Well, no, sometimes with like Necro or Undead, you can like expose your ghouls a little bit when you have to, because you know you can kind of in-blodge we trust a little bit.
No.
But there's enough tackle on the Nurgle that you're not going to want to do that. You're going to want to keep them protected because AV7 against a lot of Mighty Blow, which means you're going to have to rely on zombies a lot. You don't have a big bench, so the Nurgle can probably chunk through the zombies pretty quickly. I would feel good as the Nurgle coach going into this matchup, I think.
Yeah. I think that the only risk you run is being outrun, but CR Boys' team is not super well equipped.
What did his wolf get? Did he select it? Just block, so it's just normals. Rowdy Rebel Rousers versus Rand the Mad. Khemri versus Nurgle. And the Nurgle are up 300 TV.
Which again is weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Nurgle are going to win that one. And something in my
in your
bones.
mummy bones.
Mhm.
Yeah, you know, there isn't. Sometimes Khemri can outstrength you, especially given that they have a lot of guard. But as soon as like one of those Tomb Guardians falls, it collapses really fast. Because they're going to start being able to take more blocks and not be able to defend against them. And it turns out Nurgle can remove players pretty easily. So I think the Khemri are particularly weak to removals in this matchup, and Nurgles are good at it. So let's take the Nurgles.
Yeah, I think you've got a good read.
Here's the
there.
big one. We're going to watch this, I think, next week, sort of regardless, because it has the biggest implications for this. And we've also watched REL 1 this week, and so I think this is going to be the match to watch. It's the problem is it's Locus versus Urs. Urs doesn't have that much of a team, and Locus is kind of a bit of a kill coach in some ways. So I can't imagine it's going to be great for the Nurgle or for the Lizards, but it's very important for the Lizards. We are out of warrior, and it's a claw warrior, which is a big deal. So that leaves us with 2. 1 beastman and 1 warrior. However, that beast is strength 4, which is really bad for the Lizards because he can do his solo blitz shenanigans against Saurus, which is normally the one bad thing there. Like, they still need to assist it.
Yeah, I mean, and also just the other bad thing that usually happens to Lizards in this matchup is that Chaos can be pretty aggressively outstrengthed by Lizards if everything is going decently for the Lizards, but I do not predict that.
Yeah, 5 Saurus, 1 of them doesn't have block, 3 guard if you include the Crocs. The one thing that I think Urs has going for him is his skinks, as again, are very incredible. However, Pitbull Baby Breath can do some chasing. I think it's just like, I feel like Locus is probably going to leave himself open to skink nonsense because he often plays too hard for the removal sometimes, and I've seen people take advantage of that before. And the skinks are very well positioned to do that given their skills. So I think that's the big thing to keep an eye on in this one. In general, it's hard to take the Lizards in a Lizard Chaos match like this, though.
You know, I mean, I think the Chaos are probably going to win.
Lizards do get 400k, so they can get Slibly, and they can probably do something about a bit of a bench as well. But I think it's hard to predict against the Chaos for this one. But you know, I don't want to count Urs out. Like, it's not free, you know.
No, definitely.
I shoot blanks and Das Schuttenheim. Well, So we do have the 2 Claw Mighty Blow Guard Warriors, which is really good. We got the Strength Warrior, which helps, but this team is the 4 Guard Warriors, and I think they're going to get outguarded pretty hard by the Orcs. Actually, the Orcs only have 5, given that one of them is down. This is closer than I thought. Initially, I was thinking about Orcs, but I don't know anymore. All right, like the Orcs don't actually have any strength advantage over the Chaos, and the Chaos are pretty even with them on guard. It sucks being down TV as Chaos in general, as your inducements aren't great. But Shooty doesn't have his like Leorc Neeson anymore, who would be able to take advantage of the lack of ball carrier for the Chaos. Kevin Sorcho is going to be pretty good at taking up Beastmen. This comes down to the snowball, I think, right? Can Shoe Blanks get removals going or not?
True.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think in general he's gonna have a bit of some trouble. Versus I like the Orcs in this sort of a matchup. Whenever they're the overdogs, I think like having 1 can opener is not enough, and the Orcs will often just swarm you. And
he has 2 can openers though, and he has 4 guard on those strength 4 pieces, and one of them is strength 5. So the Orcs only have 4 or 5. They have 1 more. It's not really that significant. The issue is though that there isn't like a killer beastman, so if all those warriors get stuck up and Shooty is careful to utilize that extra guard to just make sure
so the thing there as well is that the like having that beastman to blitz kind of acts as like pseudo strength in a lot of these matchups. So like the fact that you're forced to blitz with a warrior means that you don't have as much of a pitch advantage that you would.
Yeah,
the
like
pitch advantage
having
you would
4
have
strength 4 warriors and then a strength 4 blitz is like 4.5 strength 4 players, right?
It's kind of the key of winning the bash matchup, simply because you have to so often feel out strength, because chaos can feel weirdly stretched.
Whereas if you have to do all the blitzing
so.
with the strength 4, you only have the 4 strength 4 because you're not getting that extra blitz action basically with another strength 4 piece. So if Shooty is careful to utilize that sort of guard to try to do his best to neutralize those 2 Chaos Warriors with Claw, I think he wins. But if he's ever not careful enough that way, I think it's going to be easy for the Chaos to take advantage of that. But if this Chaos team had like a killer Beastman, I would probably call it for the Chaos 100%. But them not having it makes it a bit more of a problem. I don't know.
Call it. I've already called it.
I will take the opposite. Okay, I will take the Chaos. Talk Show Terror and Battle Brothers. Kelric and Our Name is Legion. 1960 Necro versus 2,000 Bretts. 2,000 Bretts. That's a big Brett TV. You don't see that too often.
I think the Bretts win.
I don't disagree. Conan O'Dian is going to be pretty good against the Blitzers, certainly. But peasants are surprisingly annoying against wolves. Fend is a thing.
It is. It's true.
And those Blitzers, like, it's basic.
I believe
Man, in the sort of like Necro Brett matchup, it's going to be like the battle of idiot linemen, right? Like there's a lot of blockers on linemen fighting like zombies and stuff. But the Battle Brothers then have 4 really good positionals in their blitzers, plus the like strength 5 piece, and then the Necro are kind of playing the wolf game, so it's almost as if they're like out positional by the Bretts in a weird way, if that makes sense. Right? There's going to be a lot of zombie lineman stuff, flesh golem blocker stuff, and then you've got 2 whites and 2 werewolves versus sort of 4 blitzers, if you want to like think of it that way, which isn't a great way of thinking of it, but that's what my brain is doing. And I think the blitzers are better.
I understand.
Then we have Here We Fall and Uber the Noober. Uber needs to win this one to take his playoff spot, I think. And it is 1510 Skaven versus 1640 High Elves. So we get 130. You can scum a wizard if he wants.
There's a child screaming at the water park across the street that just sounds like some sort of strange vulture creature. They should have that child looked at.
Maybe it's a vulture.
Yes.
It's a vulture in a child
Maybe I'm
suit.
just being judgmental.
So the rats have a blitzer who is AV busted, but he's also claw mighty blow piling on tackle, and a one turner and the like wrestle tackle strip ball dauntless gutter runner. Like they've got like the 3 big tools there, and that's pretty much it against Here We Fall's high elves, who have the strength 4 agi 5 piece. They've got a movement 9 catcher to sort of counter one turn, certainly, although it's not natural, but it's not terribly difficult to get a couple pushes on sidestep.
It is not, no.
Diving tackle
So
catcher. Rats get some inducements, but not a ton, so they're probably not going to have a bench. Neither are the elves, of course.
I think I like the I liked Uber initially. Well, the Uber still has his actual one turner, and I think in a shootout he would.
I think the scary bit is that he has to field him immediately, and the elves do have like the mighty blow tackle catcher who can probably get some rat work done. However, in return, the rats have their blitzer who can get work done as well. So it depends on how that goes, I think. I want to take the rats too, but mostly because I think that I'm cheating a little bit in that Fall can't really make playoffs anymore, and Anagram Catastrophe can. So
I like to call that cheating.
Well, I mean,
like, I'm picking the thing that makes sense based on standing.
Well, it's mostly
that's
like if this was
fair.
week 1, I think I would probably predict maybe I'd predict the elves here. But given that there are humans behind these teams, and that one human cares about winning and the other just cares about SPP, makes the coach that cares about winning probably more likely to win in my mind. So it's
yeah, probably, but not everyone takes certain
Yeah, that's
defeat,
certainly
like
true.
sitting down, like or a certain.
I don't know, it just
certain
feels like I'm
irrelevance.
metaing it rather than like picking the teams that I think will win, right? I'm like, yeah, well, he's probably not going to try as hard, so maybe he doesn't win. Like, it feels kind of meta to me, but oh well.
I spent my last few weeks just making coaches who were above me in
That's fair.
the board sad. So
All right, well, I think that's everything from us. So let's bring up that title screen. Thanks, everybody.
you want to be done by 8,
Perfect.
and look, 7:45. I did it.
Thank you very much. Thanks, everybody,
It
for hanging
causes
out.
me
This was
harm.
week 13. We have 1 week left. We will take a look at the results that just occurred, or the last week's results, probably watch the Urs Locust match, and then see who made playoffs, where everything shook out. And by then, we should know who everybody's first round opponents will be. So we can, for the coaches that do make playoffs, so we can preview that match a little bit, but we're not going to go into it because we'll leave that for the playoff casters to do when they get to those matches. But we can just point out who's playing who and that sort of thing. If you are interested, I believe, let's see, it is Sunday at 12:30 my time, so it's 11:30 a.m. Eastern, or 15:30 UTC. The annual or seasonal spreadsheet stream from Herringzord. 1 more week from us, and then we're done for the season. There'll definitely be sort of, because I'm definitely going to be casting playoff matches, and there are so many in the first week, it is almost stressful. There are 64 that have to get covered, so there's a ton of casting in that first week, and it's very exciting. It's not just me.
Probably.
There's gonna be a ton of Rebel content in about 2 weeks, because I think we take a week break, if I recall correctly. Maybe not.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
But there's going to be a ton of Rebel content coming up in the playoffs. I'll be casting some, so if you like my style, feel free to come check those ones out in particular. I appreciate it. But there'll be a lot of stuff going on.
It's cute.
Thanks, everybody. We'll say our final goodbyes at the end of next week, but for now,
Yes,
we'll say goodbye for this week.
Look at his
That sounds really morbid.
smile.
Sounds
We'll say our final
really
goodbyes.
ominous. Yeah. This is
I mean, for the season.
our final goodbye.
Okay, thanks everybody for hanging out.
Yeah,
We'll
right.
see you next week. Until then, I'm the Steakmittens, and we will see you then.